my name's Bart, and welcome back to another lap guide video. Today we're in the FIF4 car at Spa. Here's the hot lap. Alright, so now coming across the main straight at Spa, quickly get back over to the left-hand side of the track, especially if you've been kind of holding to the right to try and shorten the distance at the end of your previous lap. Get back over to the left, get completely in a straight line here, and braking a little bit before this 50-meter board, or better reference when you're actually on the track, is this little red line you can see here. So that's, you want to be braking before that. You can see we've got peak pressure about. There is an orange marked gap in the catch fencing on my left. You can see here. If you don't have a triple screen, you're not going to see it anyway. But it's not the kind of thing I would use as what I would call a hard reference, which is a hard reference being like, I'm going to look at that and brake at that, which I'm generally against anyway. But that it's probably not the best thing, because then you're looking that way and the corner's that way, so not ideal unless you have like a single screen with FOV that fits. But so generally I think just try and look into the apex here and just try and judge in terms of, you're braking after the 100, you're braking a bit before this red line here. So I'll just try and judge your distance to that a few car lengths. So you can see maybe this is about 2-3 car lengths before the red line here. So we're braking about, say, 75 meters before the corner. So I think that's your best reference there. So braking quite aggressively here down to second gear. I'm actually surprised. I feel like here, more often than not, I feel like I struggle to get the car stopped. So I think braking on what feels like slightly the early side is potentially slightly better. You can see very efficient on the brakes, just maintain that peak brake pressure in a straight line down to second gear. Then as soon as you get that braking done and you've reached the actual apex of the corner, quickly rotate the car, get in. You can see I roll off the brake quite quick, release the brake pedal so you don't lock up. Very easy to lock the inside front here. Get into this curbing. You can run up to the wall. I think generally this is a good point to be at in terms of where the camber is and where the grip is and things like that. So, about here with your right tires on the red and white. Pretty grippy curve as well. You can see I'm already full throttle, and this is really the key, right? You got a very, very long exit after this, especially in a car like this where Rouge is easily flat, and most of your overtakes defending is going to come down to the following straight. So we really want to get this exit right. So you can see I've already rolled off the brake there. Carrying a bit of momentum is also quite important in a low-powered car like this through this corner. You can see already full throttle when we reach this point. Really use the camber, get the steering on, full throttle. You can see I've still got the lock on, and this is just as the revs build up. You can kind of see at this point I'm full throttle, but the car's still quite, let's say, dead in terms of where it is in the torque curve. It's not producing much power, but just as you can hear the revs rise up, and it's reaching the point where if I keep the lock on, it's going to slide the rear. Then I unload the lock, so you can kind of go full throttle when you still got lock on, just as the revs are kind of coming up because it's such a slow corner, and then quickly get the lock off there, release it, run it out. So you're using all the track here. Spoken about this before, but track limits are, as long as you have your right tires on that curb, you're all good. So just make sure you abuse that, because again, for some reason, a lot of people, especially new to iRacing or to this track, don't use all the curbing now. So rouge, quite easy in this car. We'll still do all the right things we want to do in a more powerful car anyway, just because it helps gain a few hundreds here and there. Go all the way to the wall on the right hand side, go to the left. Now you want to be pointing in line this way to kind of just reduce the curve of the corner. Don't put your floor over this, because then you'll bottom the car out for no reason. You'll be scraping floor, no point for that. So just run your left wheels on that bit, middle of the car over this bit here. Right tires still this side of the white line, so we don't get off track. So just try and be straight for a second and turn in smoothly, get into the camera. Then once you reach this point, the quicker you can come off the steering, the better. So you can see right there, I'm just going, okay, no more steering, as you see in the bottom left, and now I'm just going to go straight. So that's all good. You generally you want to run it so it's like this. So you have your left wheels on this bit of the curve, the peak. If you run your floor over this, you're risking off track, but also it just slows you down a little bit on the exit. Now just hold the car to the right a bit, smooth on the wheel, and then you go long straight to kind of think about what's coming up next. So next bit is Lacombe, one of the hardest corners on the track. Heavy braking once again. Down to fourth gear to help carry the momentum. Again, low powered car like this, important to do so. So you can use this. You can see this bit of the curbing here is just painted tarmac, this flat bit before this black line. That's real curb. I wouldn't brake on that in this car, but I definitely would brake on this bit here. So using all of that part of the track, braking in a straight line, definitely braking after probably your last easy reference, which is this white line. You can see there's this little orange panel as well. If you want to use that, we're braking about there. Okay, down to fourth gear. Very short, but again, heavy braking zone, but bleed out fast so we can carry the momentum. Use all of the curbing here. We want to use as much of the curve as possible. It will just help rotate the car and open up the next section. Very important. Carry the momentum, keep carrying the momentum. A little bit of throttle here. Again, use all the curb on the left-hand side. This will really hook the car up. The left tires on this high part of the curb. A little bit of throttle just to settle the car. As soon as you can get to full throttle, the better. But you need to be able to take this flat without just putting that much lock on the wheel, just without exaggerating that, with it still being smooth and not over scrubbing the tires. So there's a fine balance here. So we just get it back. You see we get it back about halfway. In a more powerful car, you will need to get it like a GT3 or something. You need to get a long way, a lot more further to the left. In this car, you don't need to prepare as much, a bit like the Suzuka S section, because we're a bit low powered, so we can afford to push out the car more and more to the right. So it's always that compromise of I still want to take the last part of the con flat without kind of bouncing off curbs or putting too much scrub on the wheel and just killing all the momentum. How can I do that while getting to full throttle as early as possible? So generally going to use a bit more track there. Here, you can see I'm just clipping the inside curb there, running the exit, just about avoiding an off track. Any wider than this, and you'll pretty much have an off track. My understanding is it's half the middle of the car goes here, or as long as your right tires are on this curbing. Okay, down to this downhill right-hander now. So quite a tricky corner, this third gear in this car. Once again, it'll be a heavy braking zone, but not a sustained heavy braking zone. So initially a lot of peak pressure, and then we're going to bleed out because we're starting to combine. We're starting to use the wheel a bit here to turn the car. So we've got to get out of the braking. See, I'm already down to, what's that, like 20%. We're not even towards the white line yet. Then down to 5%. Just keep trailing the brake in here will help keep the weight on the nose, on the front of the car, and that'll help rotate the car through the corner. I find in this car more so than others, the amount of speed you can roll into this corner, as well as roll while keeping it close to the inside white line, is probably the most important thing for lap time. And then once you can do that, you should be able to have quite an early throttle pickup. You can see I struggled to get full throttle there, use all the track over to the right-hand side. Again, through this section, you shouldn't have a rest. It should feel like it's really hard to bring the car all the way back to the right. It should be on the limit, right? And then just a small lift here in fourth. You can see I never actually come fully off the throttle. I keep some percentage of throttle on to help carry the speed. Also, if you lift more, it'll kind of want to oversteer a bit more. So if you can control the lift while carrying a bit of throttle, it'll just keep the momentum up, and it'll keep the car's platform at the speed more stable as well. Get into the camber. Either take all the curb through this corner, or just run your left tire so it's basically on the white line like I do here. That's my advice for that one. And then here you can use the track, again, very similar to the first corner. As long as you have your left tires on the red and white, you're all good. So make sure you use all of that there. Very easy to over push that and get a track limit penalty, or an off track in this case. So use the inside curbing into pull-on. Can unsettle some cars. In this car, it's okay because you're not really braking on it very hard. You can see quite a soft brake there, maybe 30% on the brake. Down to fifth gear. I find this helps just to rotate the car and get a bit of exit out of the corner. Then you want to run the car just so it clips the inside curb. Not too much though, any more than this, and you'll kind of be bounced wide of the apex. All about how much speed you can carry here. You want to carry as much speed as possible while bringing it to the inside. Then you should be able to get on the throttle very aggressively. You don't really want to slowly get on throttle. If you do that, you're going to induce a lot of understeer, and you're going to end up quite wide. So when you get on throttle through pull-on, try to be quite quick to full throttle. Force the car out there. As long as you have, again, I think 2 wheels on the red and white, you'll be okay. However, generally, if you go that wide, it's a bit too wide for this car in terms of speed. You generally want to run it like this, so you have your left tires pretty much on the white line. It gets quite bumpy otherwise, and you end up taking a bit more distance. So easily flat through the second part of pull-on. Bring it over to the left-hand side of the track. Braking now for Piff Paff or Fagner. Probably my favourite section of the track. Down to fourth gear. Make sure you use the left-hand side curbing, and once again, get position nice and early. The braking zone. Fourth gear. This braking is quite tricky because we've said this a lot, but it's another braking zone where we have to be really efficient in terms of hard, heavy braking in a straight line for a short period of time, and then bleeding out quickly, and then maintaining a bit of brake pressure through the corner. But in this one, you feel it more than any of the others. You can't. You really need to be efficient in that initial braking phase, because if you drag the brake in, it's going to really upset the car's balance for the rest of the corner, and you need to carry the momentum. So it's important to really be on the brakes, bang, bang, quickly down to fourth gear, and then you can see quickly bleeding out. And you want to try and meet this curb as late as possible. So if you brake too early, or you overslow, you brake too hard, then you'll end up on the curb now, and that will just hurts the rhythm for the rest of the corner, because then you end up too tight here, and it kind of tightens up the left-hand part of this section. So we can meet this inside curb a bit later, like we do here. This curb will help rotate the car, but again, I thought we don't want to hit it too early, so we can carry the momentum on the entry, and we can get into this position which we've got here, which is where this curbing's starting to end. We've still got our car on the right-hand side of the track. This means we really widen up the left-hand exit of this section. So you can see here, it means I only have to do a part lift, and I can carry as much speed as possible through here, just half lift briefly to help rotate the car in. Use the curb once again to rotate, force the car out as long as you have 2 tires on the red and white. As we've said before, you'll be fine. Make sure you get back before this runoff area. Very easy to get off track by being lazy there, and we have to get back because we have to use this entry curve on the left-hand side of the track for Stavolo. So please use all this entry curve. I know it feels a bit high, but it's definitely worth it. Watch out for this corner in terms of the entry curb and the apex curb. If you carry a lot of brake here, it's easy to lock up. So you have to be quite smooth with the brake pedal. So yeah, don't carry the brake too long. About last one, short brake, like kind of a little pump of the brake there. I'm down to fourth gear. Once again, get the car on the inside curb, will help rotate it. Similar to pull on, we want to be quite quick to throttle. If you're slow, then you can induce a bit of understeer, so you can be quite fast. It will help you with the car balance. And I'd say more than anything here, just look up. You got to look for your exit really early. So right now we're looking over here somewhere. We're trying to find where we're going to put the car in the exit. So, and again, as long as you have your right tires just clipping the red and white curb, you should be fine. So as long as you have your right tires pretty much on the red and white, you'll be okay. But as you can see here, we're kind of on the in between the grating section here. But I'm not just going to say use all of this green curbing, because you can just about get off track. It's kind of annoying because I think if you're in a wider car, you won't get done for an off track. But when you're in a smaller car like this, you can actually get an off track for being a little bit too far left, even if you're still on this runoff area. So just keep that in mind. This is probably the limit of what you can do in terms of running wide. And then try and move over to the right-hand side. I don't want to say quickly, because quickly implies straight away we need to turn really fast. We do still want to stay on the left to open up the second part of Stavolo and not tighten it for ourselves. But if you move too late, if you cross over the curb up here, it's quite bumpy. It's only a thing with this car, really. But because it's so low and so light and low-powered, if you bottom out or had the floor touching on too many of these bumps, then you kind of hurt your momentum a bit. So we're just trying to find a point to cross over where we don't lose too much time for the bumps, but we also don't tighten up this next right-hander. So you can see here, I kind of just wait a little bit there, kind of smoothly go over those bumps, and then now I can turn in a bit more aggressively. Should be easily flat, but we just want to be smooth with the steering, not induce any unnecessary lock or scrub in the wheel. Bring the car to the right, shorten the distance, straighten the wheel, again, reduce the scrub, shorten the distance over on the left-hand side of the track, straighten the wheel again. We don't really need to use all the entry here, it's just a waste of space. It's so easy here to take this flat. Again, smooth the wheel, try and get the car straight before we hit the brakes. Tricky braking zone now for the bus stop, so braking reference, you're definitely going to be braking well after this white line here. Again, a bit tricky. Best references are, please don't use the shadows because obviously they move. Please try and use the curbing. I know it's a bit far away, but effectively try and judge it a bit like we talked about with turn one with the source. If you're not going to look at the apex and judge it from there, or you're not going to look at your turn-in point roughly, or where you're going to put the car in the entry over here somewhere, and try and judge your distance from this the start of the curb on the left-hand side. And you know you're going to be braking after the 150 and after this white line. So there's not 100 board on the left, which is not ideal, but we'll make do. So braking, what's this, probably, I want to say 90 meters from the corner, something like that. Really hard braking here, sustained heavy braking. If you look in the bottom left, almost max pressure, and I'm maintaining that for a decent period of time. Down to second gear. The last gear change come quite late to aid the car's rotation. What I will say though is, first of all, make sure you use all the curbing here. It's a bit different to some other corners. This is why I'm coming at kind of at a diagonal angle. You can come in line with the white line, but then you're in line with the white line, and then you turn left to brake and use all the entry curb. So I personally find it's a bit better to just be straight, even though yes, we're going diagonal to the track. We're braking a straight line, which is more efficient than turning mid braking zone to use all. So we have a wider entry when we turn into the final corner. So this is what I prefer to do for this corner. You can see here, left tires using all the red and white here. And we're kind of judging that from when I start braking here. I'm looking here to kind of judge that straight line. So down to second gear, really important to carry momentum through the right. In a heavier car, this wouldn't be the case, but especially in a light, low-powered car like this, roll lots of speed through the first part of the bus stop. It will get a little bit light over the crest. That's just the type of corner it is. But it's worth a lot of lap time. It is the way to push this corner. Yeah, try and carry the momentum through the right. If you hit the sausage curb, it's really bad. Probably quite obvious, but yeah, not a good thing to do. You can see here I just clipped the edge of it, and it still kind of wants to get upset. So please avoid the sausage curb at all costs, but at the same time, you want to get as close to it as possible to really open up the exit. You will pick up the throttle here more than anything, yes, to help carry speed, but more than anything, you'll pick up the throttle here just to settle the rear. So if the rear's starting to slide around, just pick up the throttle a little bit. That'll put the weight onto the rear axle, should stop the car sliding as much, should allow you to settle the rear down and just prepare the car for this next left. You can see a quick little burst on the throttle. And more than anything, that's just so when I lift, there's more of a weight transfer to the front. So it actually dives the nose and I get more rotations just left because you don't really want to be braking. So just have a little lift into the left. That should be enough rotation. See how I clip the sausage curbs, not ideal, but still able to get really tight to the inside. And you kind of hook the car around on the inside curb quite a bit here. And then when you get on throttle, once again, quite aggressive. Slow speed corner, use all the curbing, and keep the car to the right for your shortest run to the line. So that brings us to the end of the video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And you can also check out the Coach Dave Academy Discord in the YouTube video description. I've been Bart, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.